Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Wrench Restorations and this week's episode of our retro restorations. So these retro restorations are basically just videos or narrated photos of tractors that I've restored in the past. I've got a whole playlist of them, so if you haven't seen them before, please go back and check them out. There's some good ones in there. Unfortunately, this is going to be the last one that I know of for this playlist. I've gone through all my media, electronic media, hard drives, computers, my old phones, and I don't have any more pictures that I can find as of now of any other retro restorations or restorations that I've done. So if I do come across them, then by all means I'll make another video and post it up and put it in this playlist. But as of right now, this is going to be the last one for a specific tractor. I've got a bonus for next week, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you don't miss it. But this week it's going to be on a International Lowboy 185 that had a loader on it. Now this tractor is pretty unique, and I'll get into it in the video, but it had a couple options that were pretty rare. It had the loader, it had a 3-point hitch on the back, and it had a creeper gear. So those were all three things that you typically don't find on those tractors, even if it's just one or two of them. But to have all three on the same machine, that's a pretty rare bird right there. So someone must have ordered that back in the 70s and had a little of that cash that they wanted to spend to get the Primo Edition tractor. So let's check it out. Alright, so what we're dealing with here is a pretty rare International 185 Lowboy Cub. And I say rare in the sense that it has a few rare options. Those tractors themselves are not rare. They made several thousands of them in the 70s, but we'll get into the options here in a minute. This is just a quick photo of it after I had restored it. It's sitting in the garage with Sweaty Betty in the background there in my 1950 John Deere MT. And one of my favorite tractors I've ever had was I think it was a 88 or an 89. I think it was a 1988 John Deere 950. 3-cylinder Yanmar diesel, had the loader. It had like 1,100 hours on it. Anyway, another tractor for another time, but just had this picture pop up. But this is the 185 in the garage pretty much after I was done with the restoration, but we'll get back to that as well. Let's see what this thing looked like when I picked it up. So here's a quick picture that I had a screenshot on my phone. This is from a Craigslist ad years ago. I want to say this was probably 2018, maybe 2019, and it was for sale about an hour away from me, and it was at a junkyard. I don't remember what the price was on it, but I knew I had to jump on it quick because it was priced reasonable, and I knew just the fact of seeing that it had the loader and the 3-point hitch on there that it was going to go quick. So I promptly called the guy, made a deal, and loaded the trailer and was on my way down to pick it up. So here's just a couple of more pictures of it sitting abandoned back in the tall grass at the back of a junkyard. I guess they were just kind of cleaning up and were trying to make some room and wanted it gone. And to them, it was just an old tractor. So to me, I saw the diamond in the rough and knew it was going to be worth a whole lot more. So we were able to drag it out. I think they had another bigger tractor there, if I remember right, and I was able to get it loaded up on the trailer. So in this view here, you can see pretty well that it's really not in that bad a shape. Again, 3-point hitch and the loader. I knew those are options that were pretty tough on a 185 Lowboy. Most of these tractors were used for big yards, estates, golf courses for cutting grass, and they had a mid-mount mower deck underneath. So sometimes you'd see them with the 3-point hitch, which is a nice option with the PTO. But it's really not even that often you see them with the 3-point hitch. So to add the loader on top of that really kind of made it extra special. You really don't see many of those, and it was a Johnson loader, if I remember correctly. What I ended up finding out when I got there to look at it was that the tractor wouldn't roll, and when I was messing around with the shift lever to make sure it was in neutral, I figured it was just stuck from sitting for so long. I realized it had yet another option, the creeper gear. So creeper gear just is like a one low, if you will. So you can put it in high or low on the creeper gear. If I remember correctly, they're all set up a little different, but it changed your 3 or 4 speed transmission into a 6 or 8 speed. So it really allowed you to gear it down for slower speeds and some extra torque. So to have the 3-point, the loader, and the creeper all in the same package deal, like I said in the intro, whoever bought this tractor, they probably ordered it to have all those extra options on there, because typically these 185s didn't have all those. And as you can see in this picture, oh, here it is. Okay, so that's right. We had a flatbed wrecker that we used to pull it up onto, and then we set it down onto the back of my trailer, and I come along it back because, like I said, the rear tires wouldn't turn, which I'll get into that in a minute too. But as you can see in this picture, the bucket was severely damaged, and I ended up just scrapping it because there was no saving that. I figured I'd just find another bucket for it at some point, or even build one if I needed to. So we go right into the restoration. Got it on the side of the house. I had removed the loader bucket from it, started going through, and you can see in the background here I've got the transmission taken off. The reason I had taken the transmission off was, like I said earlier, it wouldn't roll. I thought maybe it was just rusted up and frozen, but it turns out that creeper gear, if you look right on the front of the transmission, I'll try to put an arrow in here if I remember, has 3 smaller planetary gears inside, and the gear teeth from those were broken, and it basically jammed up the entire transmission so that no matter where you put the creeper lever or the shifter lever, nothing would turn. It was just locked up. And that's probably why the thing ended up going to the junkyard. Somebody just didn't know what the heck was wrong with it. Fortunately, I was able to find a guy online. He owns a website. He's on Facebook. It's called Hamilton Bob's, and they sell all kinds of restoration parts and OEM parts and everything for Cub Cadets, Farmall Cubs, Low Boys, 185s, you name it, they've got it. So he had a kit that had the 3 planetary gears that I needed, and if it was fairly priced, if I remember right. But anyway, I was able to get it fixed, and we were good to go in the transmission. So here's just another shot. I had the back cover off the transmission, just checking gears, make sure nothing else was broken. Here's the frame and primer. You can see I've removed the engine and the transmission completely. I think there was a crack somewhere on the frame I had to weld as well. And if you look in the background there, I had a seat that I had made out of an old tractor pan seat, and there were some parts from a hand corn sheller, and I think I had a camshaft that went in between there for the vertical part. But anyway, that used to be my work stool I had out there. I have no idea what I ended up doing with that thing. Alright, here's the frame all painted in the garage. You can see there's tons of parts laying around it ready for reassembly. And it looks like the engine's on the engine stand, so I was probably getting ready to go through that. Again, just some shots. I've got the new steering wheel, new seat. There's new brake bands. You can see them on the hubs there for the final drives. It looks like there's spacers on those as well. All kinds of new parts. I really went all out and kind of redid everything on this, because I thought, because of the rare options on this thing, I really wanted to just make it right. Here it is back on our own 4 feet. I was able to reuse the rear tires. The front ones are new. Those rear tires are original tires from the 70s for their turf tractors, that diamond tread. I don't know as though anybody makes those anymore, but I've always loved the look of those tires. I remember seeing one of these low boys at a glider port up in New Hampshire when I was a kid. They would use this tractor to tow the gliders back to the grass runway for the planes to take off to bring the gliders up. So definitely going down a rabbit hole there, but you can see the engine in the background's been painted, getting ready to get put in. And here's my John Deere 950, lowering the engine into the frame of the 185 lowboy. Makes for quick work of that. Alright, here's the engine installed. Looks like I'm starting to get some of the tin work back on in the front and the back, steering wheel, and nearing completion. All new hoses, cables, belts, wires, you name it. Here's just a side view once I've had the hood on with the decals and custom dealer sticker I made for a buddy of mine. Had some extras, so I ended up sticking it on here. I think it adds a little detail that kind of just makes it a little bit nicer. And these are just going to be some pictures of it when it was completed, sitting out in front of the house. Here you can see the 3-point hitch assembly all put together, everything painted nice. Unfortunately, there are no pictures that I have of this tractor with the loader back installed. I ended up selling this tractor to my buddy Brian. I didn't get to the chance to restore the loader. I'm not sure. I think I might have gone through and got hoses for it, but anyway, long story short, yeah, I think I did. I think I installed the loader. I didn't paint it. I just installed it on the tractor and hooked everything up so that he could see it, you know, raise and lower, but it wasn't painted, and I never ended up getting a new bucket for it. So I think he might have ended up finding a bucket, or anyway, long story short, too late as always. He ended up reselling it to one of his friends as well. So yeah, I never got to operate it with the loader on there, but that's all right. Anyway, it was a pretty cool save. I'm glad we were able to find it, because to have one of these 185 low boys come out of a junkyard that had all these great options on it, I'm glad it didn't get scrapped, you know. But for the price that was for sale, I knew it was going to sell quick, so I had to jump on it. Sometimes that's just the way you got to be with these things. So anyway, it was a pretty cool tractor. I love those low boys. They got the same inline 4-cylinder engine as the Farmall Cubs, so parts are really easy to get. They're inexpensive, and they're super easy to work on. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Like I said, this is the last single tractor retro restoration video for this series. Again, if I can dig some more photos or videos out of archives, I will, and I'll happily add them to the playlist. But stay tuned for next week. I've got a special final retro restorations video for you. I think you'll enjoy it. It's got some good photos, some good videos, and it'll be a quick short video. So until next Wednesday, we'll see you then. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe.